Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Andrea and I have been selling on Etsy for over 8 years. So this YouTube channel is just where we talk about my Etsy shop journey, strategies I've learned and tried in the past, and small business ownership. So today specifically, we are going to be talking about taking time for self-care as a small business owner. Okay, so before we even dive into this video, I do want to let you guys know that I am not the type of person that is like a huge self-care guru. I'm not I'm not the type of person that's like, I'm taking a mental health day and going to the spa and all that kind of stuff. That's just not really my speed. I'm not like overwhelmingly into self-care. But I do think that it can take a lot of forms, and I do actually think it is really important for small business owners. And the reason why I think it's important for small business owners is that it can take, small business is different than any other career path, in the sense that it's different from a 9-to-5 because there's not set hours. Your motivation is really, really important. So being motivated, if you are in small business, is really important because that is how your business grows. If you're working and coming up with new ideas and trying to market and all that kind of stuff, your business is growing, as opposed to if you have a 9-to-5 with more set straightforward stuff. It is just a little bit different, and I just feel like small business ownership is different than, not that you don't have to be motivated in a 9-to-5, because you definitely do. However, it's just a little bit different in the sense that small business ownership can take 1,000 different paths, and you have to be able to discern which one is best and then also enact that. And most of the time it's completely by yourself with no other help. And with no set hours and no boss telling you you're gonna get fired if you don't do this. So it is just a very, very different type of career. And because of that, I think it's really important. Another reason why I think it's important is that you just want to be operating at max capacity if you are a small business owner. It's just really, really important to have a high level of energy, be in the sense of I'm sure you've heard this before, but pouring from a full cup is so important in small business. Just going back to the staying motivated piece, it is so, so important to just be motivated and high energy and be pouring from a full cup. And I am a firm believer that you want your small business to give you energy instead of taking it away. Obviously, there is seasons of life, of business, where your energy will ebb and flow. And there are times whenever a small business will feel like a super fun thing that you're doing. And there are other times when it will feel more like drudgery, and that is absolutely true. But overall, I do think that your small business should be, in your job at large, should be providing energy and value to your life. Even if you don't love the business side, maybe it'll provide more time to spend with your kids or something like that. So overall, I firmly believe that if you are in small business, your business should be giving you energy, not necessarily taking it away. So giving you value, giving you energy, giving you time, rather than taking it away. I talk about this more and just a personal experience that I had with my business more in the video where I talk about, I think it's called an honest conversation about burnout, where I talk about a decision that we had to make for my small business for our personal lives, and just talking about energy and business and making my small business something that works for me rather than just me working for it. So definitely, I'm a firm believer that that is really, really important. And I do think that doing self-care and taking some self-care steps as a small business owner and understanding that that can look extremely different. I'm a big believer that self-care does not always take 4 seasons spa day levels to achieve. And I think that just understanding that why you're doing it and why it's important and realizing what is giving you energy is a really good way to do it. So let's talk about how to do it. So I've already mentioned this, but I really think that self-care gets way over exaggerated on like Instagram and social media and Pinterest, I guess. Like and maybe that's why I feel like I'm not like a self-care guru type of person. Like maybe that's why I feel I'm not into it, because I really think it gets over exaggerated and overused. And sometimes, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, I think it gets used as an excuse for people to just be downright selfish, which is a whole nother conversation. But I am pro self-care. However, sometimes I feel like people are like, self-care day, and they go and spend $500 when you see that and you're like, that's not an option for me right now. Like $500 at like a Four Seasons spa day, and then they're getting a huge meal and all these things. And I am of the belief that actually you can achieve self-care for very, very, very small amounts of money, and not that much. Like, you might not even have to take off of work in order to do it. So I just think that maybe opening up in a new lens of which to look through to see different opportunities that you have never considered as self-care opportunities now is a very, very important thing to do in small business, because you can't always just take off of work for a week and go to the Maldives and be in a hut over the beach. Like, that is not a realistic option. And I don't want people to think like, well, then I just can't do it. I'm just going to be drained of energy, because that is not something that I have the capacity to do. And if you do have the capacity to do, and there's definitely something to be said for knowing when it's time to go on vacation. But let's talk about more attainable ways to achieve self-care today as a small business owner. Okay, so all of the things that all of the ideas I'm about to list out are things that we either are doing or I've done in the past that are very straightforward and very, very attainable. So the first thing is, if you are like an OG regular, watch all the videos on this channel, you know that I'm a huge, huge proponent of this, is to schedule a work day at a coffee shop or just at your house. So I am a huge, huge believer in coffee shop work days with other small business owners. I am very extroverted. I get a lot of energy from being around people. I really, really enjoy that. So I definitely get super drained if I'm alone. And I have found that scheduling work days is like the ultimate form of self-care for me that is so attainable, because for one, I don't even have to take a day off of work. The only thing that I have to do in order to schedule a work day is kind of plan my calendar for that particular week that I'm doing that, to have like computer work to do for the work day. So like literally this week, I am having another friend over who's a small business owner, full-time small business owner, not even in my she doesn't sell on Etsy. She's a small business owner. That's a friend. She's coming over. I'm going to make lunch, make us coffees, and we're going to work on our computers at my house. And we're just gonna hang out, chit chat, but be getting work done. So I am planning to have computer work ready that I can sit on my computer and work by Wednesday. I do this probably about once every 2 weeks, maybe once a week even, with small business owner friends. We'll either meet at a coffee shop or just have people over, make lunch, make coffees, and hang out as friends. I am a huge, huge believer in this, just because I do think that being with people is really, really important for our mental health. And it's still you don't even have to take a day off of work. All you have to do is just plan to have some work that you can get done on the computer for that day. And sometimes it can be so inexpensive. We often do them just at people's houses, because and you just take turns making lunch that day. And then, so when she comes over, I'll make coffees and lunch. And then, maybe next week I'll go over there and she'll make coffees and lunch. And we just do that. It is so fun. It's so life-giving. It's good to bounce ideas off of each other. And I'm not even taking a day off of work. I'm a huge fan of coffee shop work days. The next thing that we do is establish a quitting time. So make give yourself some business hours. Obviously, this is something that's going to ebb and flow. If we have a big project coming up, like last year, whenever I decided to launch my course to sell to Etsy sellers, that was a bigger project. Or if I'm gonna come out with a new product line, that is, the quitting time isn't so hard and fast during those times, but during regular business operating hours, we have like our operating like season where we're not adding huge projects or anything like that. We have a quitting time in our house. It's roughly from 5 to 8. Like 5 to 8 is whenever we make dinner, we hang out, we watch a show. And then, so I am able to like know that from 5 to 8, like I'm gonna be getting some alone time to either go out and do some hobbies or hang out with my husband, but I'm not going to be working. And then if I need an evening chunk of time as well, I can work from like 8 to 9 or 8 to 10, or we can just keep hanging out. We keep it pretty loose, but I try for the most part to be done with work by 5, because that is a time that I have decided is good for me to quit and be with my life and my family and all those sorts of things. So that could be something that you might need to do. If you're not married, it might look like taking off of work, closing the laptop for lunch, or if you are married, have a family, you might need to dedicate your evenings to them. But definitely very, very life-giving to have like a quitting time, like give yourself some more set hours and really, really abide by them when it is feasible for your business season. I don't want you to get overwhelmed and be like, oh my gosh, like I have to do it, but I have to cram everything in. If you need to work late one day, don't worry about that either. You're not doing the work-life balance thing wrong. However, having hours can be really, really, really life-giving. Going back to the first idea, which is a coffee shop workday for self-care, I think that it's really, really important just to have friends in general. So I think that's something you can do for self-care as a small business owner is make other small business owner friends. They do not have to be in the same niche. Do not worry about them. Like my 2 closest friends that are small business owners do not do YouTube. They do not do Etsy. They do not sell clothing. Our businesses do not overlap. They're both wedding photographers. That being said, they have similar schedules. They can relate to similar things. Marketing is pretty similar for all businesses. So it's like we can still have a good relationship just as friends, but also we can relate to each other as small business owners. And that is super, super nice. So go out and make some friends with small business owners. It is so hard to make friends as an adult, so I understand that, but I do think that having other small business owner friends on the journey of business ownership is really, really, really important for self-care and just for your business as a whole. Okay, we're gonna talk about 2 more ways that you can do it. One is having something that you do just for fun that's completely not business related. You don't even have to post about it. It's literally just for fun. For me, that's gardening. I love to garden outside. I like to start my seeds in the winter, all those sorts of things. I like being outside in the summer, and so I love to garden. It might look like taking up a hobby, but doing something just for yourself is absolutely a form of self-care. And yeah, I definitely am a huge proponent of that. And lastly, you can outsource a task. That is a form of self-care. If you have decided that you are overwhelmed by a particular task in your business or it doesn't give you life, you can either choose to end that task, or, which is what we did with the embroidery side, which I talked about in the burnt out video. I already mentioned that. Or you can decide to outsource it. If it's an absolutely necessary task in your business, you can choose to hire that done, and that is absolutely a form of self-care. It's giving you energy back, giving you time back, all those sorts of things, and it's a business expense. So definitely something, if you are able to financially outsource something, a huge, huge, huge form of self-care would be outsourcing a draining task in your business to someone who is more efficient and better at it. That is something that I believe. So those are just 5 ways that you can establish self-care routines as a small business owner. Just 5 things that you can do. I'm a huge, huge believer in that. I used to travel a ton. I used to travel a ton before I was married. I traveled so much, and I think that I used to believe that that was the only way. And so maybe that's, I don't know. I used to believe that like going on a trip was the only way to get away. And now I have learned that you can definitely, if you are intentional, establish routines and practices in your daily life that are amazing that you can do just all at home in your daily life that gives so much energy. I obviously still love to have a beach getaway or like go somewhere fun, but I am a firm believer now that you can establish those routines and it doesn't even require you to take a day off. All it requires is to set boundaries, be intentional, and I really do think that you will be better for it. I think it'll be a better thing for your business, for your personal life, for your relationships. I firmly believe that. And so I guess in that way, I totally am a self-care guru. I just think that we often miss the ways that it can manifest itself that are really, really good for us in our business and don't even cost us a workday or a ton of money. And instead of waiting for the right time to go to Indonesia and to sit on a gondola and drink coconut out of a coconut, rather, like, don't wait for that. Don't wait until that's viable to work in routines that you love when you can do them right at home. Like, you definitely don't need to travel or anything like that. Huge believer in vacations. Don't hear what I'm not saying, but definitely taking the time to set the boundaries and be intentional at home will be more life-giving overall rather than just constantly waiting for the next huge way to do self-care. So I wanted to make a video about smaller ways to incorporate self-care into your business. All that being said, I would love to know how you do that, a small way that you incorporate, a small boundary that you set that you have done just for your mental health in your business. So you can let me know that in the comments. All that being said, we talk about small business ownership twice a week on this channel, usually pertaining to Etsy, but sometimes just business ownership at large. And so if you are interested in that, make sure to subscribe, and thank you so much for watching and joining along this journey with me.